Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Mott Community College, and thank you for choosing to attend our 2022 Board of Trustees Candidate Forum. I am Jennifer Cronkrite, a dual-enrolled student at Mott Community College and the University of Michigan-Flint. I am in the honors program at the University of Michigan. I graduated from Mott Community College in May of 2022 with a global endorsement. I also completed the Mott Community College Honors College, and I am continuing to take courses here at Mott Community College. My major is communication with a public speaking concentration. I am minoring in history and have taken a large majority of my history courses with Mott Community College. I am actively involved in the President Student Advisory Council and Cultural Exploration Student Association. I am the vice chair for the CLEF, which is the College Life Enhancement Fund. I have studied abroad in Puerto Rico with Mott Community College and plan to study abroad again next year. I not only attend Mott Community College, but I work at the college as well in student life and at the Lenore Crowdy Family Life Center. In student life, we plan events for students to relax and enjoy college, and informational events like the one you are attending today. At the Lenore Crowdy Family Life Center, I am the administrative assistant and help provide resources to our MCC students. At the center, we work hard to remove barriers so students can be successful and obtain a degree or certificate. I am grateful for all the opportunities that Mott has assisted me with and take pride in attending courses and working on campus. We students are excited to have this opportunity to learn more about the candidates that could be shaping the vision and policy of our institution. The Board of Trustees play a pivotal role in shaping the student experience, the work that the employees do, and the role that we play in the community. So, learning about each one of them is incredibly important and helpful for us potential voters. We are so glad that these candidates have decided to come here and share their stories, experience, and vision for our institution. Just a few housekeeping measures. First, we have reached out to each candidate by phone, email, and mail to attempt to secure them for this date. If candidates did not respond, we exhausted every avenue to potentially get them here. Beth Cooper has a sick child at home, and Jeff Swanson said he was unavailable for this event. Second, Mott Community College promotes the core values of civility as one of our foundational beliefs. Candidates are therefore strongly encouraged to focus on themselves, their background, platform, and reasons for running, as opposed to their opponents. And without further ado, I'm excited to introduce the two moderators asking all the questions today. Our celebrities, Matt Barber and Christine Winter, the anchors for ABC 12 News in the morning. Matt and Christine, the forum is yours.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for that kind introduction there, Jennifer. Not to speak for Christine, but celebrities is a very big word. We're both journalists committed to covering issues that impact Mid-Michigan, and covering democracy in action is at the heart of what we do, so it's our honor to be here today. Again, I'm Matt Barber. I anchor ABC 12 News this morning from 4:30 to 7, Monday through Friday. I also host a community show called Good Morning Mid-Michigan.
Yes, and I am Matt's co-anchor in the morning for Good Morning Mid-Michigan, and also the noon anchor at ABC 12. All right, let's get started now. I want to start with having two Mott Community College students pull the name of the person who will be fielding our first question. So students, could you please pull the name and we will get going? Okay, Rebecca Garski, we're going to start. Let's jump into it. Before we ask any questions, though, we want each of you to take 3 minutes to briefly describe yourself and why you've decided to run for this position. So let's start with Rebecca.
Thank you. Thank you for agreeing to be the moderators for this, and thank you to the student body for giving us this opportunity to share our ideas. I am a graduate of Mott Community College. I'm a mother of 4. I am also a recently retired professor from Mott Community College. I spent 19 years teaching here and retired the end of June. The reason that I would like to, and I am running for the board, is because I feel like I haven't given everything that I need to give to the college, and it's time to start on a different type of giving back to the community and to the school.
All right, now we'll hear from Ann Figueroa.
Thank you for pronouncing my name right. Thank you. Hi, I'm Ann Figueroa. I'm currently chair of the Board of Trustees. In 2017, I was retiring after 30 years in human resource. I know a lot of you were scowling, going, HR, but it was a lot of fun. And I didn't want my skills to sit at home. One of the things that I've learned in HR is there's different types of education. There's a skill base, and then there's the education where you want to go on for 4 years or higher learning, and that involves critical thinking. And I wanted to impact that, as having had employees sit across from me for interviews, or applicants and then employees. Those skills are necessary, and I find that Mott gives them those skills. So I wanted to give back. I wanted to be able to empower the people who would sit across from me and my other HR colleagues and say, oh, they've got the skills. They've got what it takes. My background is I have an undergraduate in physical education. I have a master's in special education. Originally from New York, but I reload out here about 30 years ago. So it's something more of a give back to help those. It's a struggle sometimes. I would have students who, or applicants who just didn't have the interview skills or even the skills to be able to complete the job that they were applying for. So we have to start here. We have to start, and I need to be able to give back and help them along and to do that. Thank you.
All right, and now we will hear from Art Reyes, and we will hear why he decided to run for this position and also a little bit of background.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the students and faculty for putting this on today. My name is Art Reyes, and I'm currently the vice chair of the board. And the reason that I originally ran in 2017 is I'm a journeyman electrician. And I was seeing that we were starting to focus more on skilled trades-based or apprenticeable trades-based, things that would make an immediate impact on people. I had firsthand knowledge of that because I'm a graduate of Mott Community College as well, and basically owe so much that I've been able to get in my life from Mott Community College. Because I was able to earn while I learned through the apprenticeship program, the burden of being in college and the costs associated with that were far less, so my family didn't suffer, through getting the education. My children saw an example of, we can talk about the musts of them getting an education, but they actually saw an example sitting at the kitchen table, me doing my homework the same as them. I will say that my attitude towards my homework was probably not any better than theirs, though I did try to hide that from them. I'm the father of 5. I have 3 grandchildren, and I have another one on the way. And the reason that I decided to run for re-election is that I'm very happy with the job that Ann and I have been able to do as the chair and vice chair. We have a good board who are moving the community college forward. We're adapting to, we take a look at in 2014, so barely before we got elected, we went into the water crisis. And then in late 2019, early 2020, we had the pandemic. And that set everything on its head. So it was very important for us to be able to adapt, and we were a part of that. Seeing how quickly change comes and what was required of us, the experience that I've been able to get from that, the knowledge that I've been able to get from these, from going through that, made me know that I was ready for a second term. And so I'm asking the voters for their support in their vote next Tuesday.
All right, we'll keep rotating through the candidates with each of the questions here. And I'll repeat it before you answer as well, and feel free to take advantage of the time that you have on the clock too. Mott is committed to creating a student-centered environment that prioritizes student success. What do you think are the biggest challenges students at Mott face, and what role do you think members of the Board of Trustees play in fostering that student success? Rebecca?
Students face, having spent almost 30 years in an educational setting and mentoring the ways that I understand the struggles that students have. It can be anything. Forgot. I apologize. As I was saying, having spent 30 years in education and 19 of those here at Mott, I understand the difficulties that students have had, the challenges that they have. It can be anywhere from food disparity to homelessness to transportation issues to childcare. I do believe that Mott has really done a diligent effort in trying to provide programs to support students. The Family Life Center having childcare on campus now that encompasses children birth through age 5 is a huge, huge benefit to our students. Encompassing scholarships and grants for childcare, the food bank that we have at the Family Life Center, and then having social workers on campus that can assist for community resources that the college may not have under its own roof, but they can direct those students to those. Those are the kinds of challenges that we faced, and I believe that we are in the process of overcoming. And it's not to say that we are there 100%, but I do believe that we are definitely on the right track.
All right, same question for you, Ms. Figueroa. What do you think are the biggest challenges Mott students face, and what role do you think members of the Board of Trustees play in fostering student success?
I almost did the same thing. I'm in agreement with Becky that the students face life challenges, food insecurities, housing insecurities. A portion of our students are what they traditionally call our non-traditional students. Most students don't come right from high school. They're returning after some sort of career or an attempt at a career or changing careers. So we here at Mott want to be able to accommodate all of those adaptations, if you will. The biggest challenges that students face, again, in their own lives or their personal, but then how do we teach them? I think the pandemic switched us to many more computer online classes, which I think expands our student base because they can do it at their own pace at home, and then the hands-on, there's some hands-on classes that you can't, then they're ready for the hands-on. So I think that accommodating that, and I think we do a good job of listening to the students here. The students tell us what we want, and what they want and what they need. We also listen to employers to say, well, this is what we need for the students, what we need out of your students. We're instituting the workforce promise that you as an employer, if you have your student come here, your worker, your employee, we're going to send them back to you fully trained. And if they're not fully trained, if you find some area that they lack, they come back to us for free. So we work hand in hand with employers. We have worked very hard on our transfer pathways, working with higher ed, so those students do not lose credits when they come out of here into the 4-year, if that's the path. So we're listening, we're collaborative, and I think that's the key to our success is we look at the trends, the trends are what they are. Now, how the Board of Trustees helps with that is we authorize the money, we look at it, we are very involved in the strategic plan. Diversity, inclusion, and equity is one of our highest priorities. We want to embrace our community, all right? We're very community-minded. So I think we make sure that those programs that benefit our community, Mott is a shining star in this community, and we want to keep that moving forward. So we keep an eye on that and make sure that what we're doing here doesn't become antiquated or in stone if we have to move forward and be able to adapt. And I think Mott Community College, that might be our middle name, is adapting. So.
Now to Mr. Reyes, same question. What do you think are the biggest challenges Mott students face, and what role do you think members of the Board of Trustees play in fostering student success?
Well, I think that both Becky and Ann expressed well some of the things that are happening as well as some of the challenges. I would add that one of the things that the pandemic showed us was that there was disparity in tech, in particular with Wi-Fi access and things of that nature, where some of our students just didn't have the required equipment in order to be able to do fully online classes. So I was very proud that not only did the college, but I was able to help with that as well. We took hotspots to students. We took them to their homes so that way they would be able to get on the internet, so that they would be able to continue to do their schoolwork. We didn't want that to be a hurdle that became a wall. Food and shelter insecurities, again, with the food pantry that we have here, that helps with that. And again, during the pandemic, we delivered groceries to students. So we were out there in the community doing things that were necessary in order to, again, keep these hurdles from becoming walls, because it's too easy for life to get in the way of college. There's, so many stories of individuals that decided to take, and I'm one of them, decided to take a semester off from college, and then the next thing you know, it's 15 years later, and you didn't go back and finish. And it's important that that we as an institution do everything that we can to lessen those. Try to take that wall and make it a hurdle rather than the other way around. And then finally, one of the things that all of our students face and families face is tuition. That costs are rising everywhere. When we take a look at the cost of higher education, it is just in some places just seems to increase exponentially. I am proud that under again the guidance and leadership of Ann and myself, 2 of the last 3 years we've frozen tuition. So there's been 0 increase in tuition. Over the 6 years that we've been on the board, there has been it's averaged just over 1%. When you take, there were 2 years where we had 2% and 1 year where we had a 1% increase. Now that's difficult. Those are difficult decisions that are being made because costs are going up for everybody, including the college, including faculty, including the staff. So, in order for us to be able to balance the things that are necessary with the things that are absolutely vital, I think that we're doing a good job with that, and that's the role that I see as the board. One of the things that I see as my role as a board member is to be a cheerleader. All things Mott. When our students are doing well, I'm echoing that. When somebody falters or somebody is having a hard time, it's our job to make sure that we're in there grabbing them and pulling them forward, pulling them up and pulling them forward. And again, I believe that is what the Board of Trustees should do. We take our expertise and we lend a hand.
All right. We know Mott is committed to creating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive campus environment. So we start with Rebecca. What role do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion play in higher education? And if elected, how would you use your role as trustee to cultivate these values at Mott?
I think the first thing is understanding what DEI is, or diversity, equitable, and inclusiveness is, and what does it look like, and what kind of policies that we can create that reinforce that. I think also is that we have to assure that once we have policies and programs in, as board of directors, we are fiduciarily responsible. So we have to make sure that we put the money and funding behind those programs. We can't just develop programs and not have the backup of funding for those programs. I think that those are probably the key issues for the Board of Trustees. The other is that we have to be role models. We have to exhibit those values and out into the community and within our student body and wherever we were doing, as we were both Ann and Art were talking about, that it's the Board of Trustees that goes out and promotes this college, that does the support work for the within the community and listens to the community and brings back what they need to the college, and then we can work from that.
And now let's get the same question answered by Ann. What role do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion play in higher education? And if elected, how would you use your role as trustee to cultivate these values at the school?
I'm not sure I can say it any better than Becky did. I know I will. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, while they're just words, they're more about people. They're more about the differences in people and how we can be that cheerleader, how we can help someone who isn't able to afford Mott or be able to move forward into a position. The higher ed is where people learn and grow. And we want them to learn and grow, everyone to learn and grow. We don't want just a certain segment of our population. We want Mott Community College to look like our community, to be like our community, to have an open heart for differences. Even as the Board of Trustees, we have a role in DEI as we have to take DEI training. We have agreed, we realize that we're the biggest cheerleaders. We've also established that this most recent strategic plan, our number one priority is DEI. We want to make sure that this is home to everyone and that everybody has a fair and equitable opportunity to get the education they need, deserve, and should have. So our role is to be examples. Like I say, we have to go through the training just like the employees, and it's actually quite interesting. So I think cheerleading, bearing the standards, we're the champions for this college. We're not here to play politics. We're not here to make changes, whatever we want. It's what does the community want? What do the students need? We're here because we're listening to students. And we've done that through our board meetings. Prior to our board meetings, we have a thing called the Committee of the Whole, where we invite students, am I over time? Invite students to come in and talk to us. And we've heard story after story, the daycare, the food insecurities, the housing issues. So we're in touch with that. We're in touch with that. It isn't some arm's length. We don't know what you want, what you are, but we've done the face-to-face, and I think that's important.
Okay. And Art, what role do you think diversity, equity, and inclusion play in higher education? And if elected, how would you use your role as trustee to cultivate those values at Mott?
Well, DEI is something that is very important to me personally, and early on in my board tenure, I brought it up. It was very important that, and the way that I look at it is, as Ann said, our college should look like our community. I think that that's very important. I think that every student in Mott's district should be able to look at the board, should be able to look at teachers, should be able to look at staff and say, I can relate to that individual. That person looks like me, or that person practices the same religion as me, or that person, may have similar life experiences. And that is a motivator. I think that what diversity does is, I've always taken a little bit of, I like the America is a melting pot analogy, and I grew up with that. But as I've grown older, I like to think of it as kind of a quilt. Whereas every patch may be a little bit different, but when it's combined together, it makes a very beautiful thing. Not only a beautiful thing, but a very functional thing. I get very cold during the winter. My wife has her own personal furnace, she says, and so she keeps it very cold, so I keep a quilt near and dear to me. Equity is about meeting students where they are. Not where we think they should be, not looking that everybody is going to get the same outcome or starting at the same place, because we have to know where they are. That's the reason that some of the classes that we have are to prepare students, so that way they can begin together, but we have to meet them where they are. I agree again with Ann about reflecting the community, and it is our number one. DEI is our number one board priority. We have indicated that we want to be the best in the country on that. And that is, a lot of times, that requires us asking hard questions of our faculty, hard questions of our students, hard questions of our staff. What are your experiences, And we have to be prepared to listen to those and take to heart whatever the answers are. Because whatever the answers are, that's our starting point. And in order for us to know where we want to go, we have to know where we are. And again, an inclusion is just bringing everyone to the party, because Mott is an incredible institution. It is our community's college. And it's important that every person, and again, as Ann said, every person knows when they're here, they're home. So DEI is absolutely vitally important. The Board of Trustees drives policy, so it is absolutely important that the board know its position on that, live its commitment to that, and we go from there.
Now to our next topic and question. Higher education institutions have been facing declining enrollments for the past few years. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated this trend, particularly at community colleges. What adjustments do you think that Mott needs to make in order to address this issue? Ms. Skarsky?
The pandemic really did serve a curveball to higher education or education period. But I will say that I'm now speaking from the perspective of a faculty member. Mott and the board supported the faculty very quickly. They did a very quick turnaround, and they were able to support students and accommodate students. They mentioned the hotspots and computers that were delivered, the food that was delivered to students. So I do thank the board for that, and I think that those kinds of things need to continue. I also think that there are lots of state and federal funding to assist students with academic and tuition costs, and we need to capitalize on those. We need to be able to utilize work study. We need to utilize grants and scholarship programs that are out there. And this is for all the skilled trades. It's for early childhood. There's all kinds of paid apprenticeship programs now that the state is looking at. Even in early childhood education, there are now a grant that schools can apply for paid internships for early childhood educators. So it's an increasing funnel for money, and I think that it's the board's responsibility to make sure that they are on top of all of these opportunities and to bring them to the college and utilize those for our students.
Again, the topic is declining enrollment, particularly at community colleges. What adjustments do you think Mott needs to make to address this issue? Ann?
I agree with Becky. When the pandemic hit, we pivoted. The staff, I credit the staff a lot, but the administration was in constant contact with the board and said, this is what we want to do, this is what we need, what ideas do you have? Art himself actually delivered food for a number of months to students. So we all just pitched in, again, when we could, where we could. It is a tough thing to recover from the pandemic, but I think we're kind of better for it in some ways. We've had to take some hard look at our costs and our enrollment, but enrollment is declining for everyone, as inherent in the question. We're reaching out to the non-traditional students, which I had mentioned earlier. We have the state program Reconnect. So if you've had some college courses, you're over the age of 26, come back to us. There's some money there, state money. Okay, we've had some of that. We've used some of the monies that have come in through some of the COVID money, and we've canceled student debt, because sometimes the students start and they go, but I can't pay back what I have, or they owe money, so they don't come back. So we've worked on canceling debt, so that increases enrollment. Our workforce development has reached out to employers. I mentioned the workforce promise, but they actively seek employers and say, hey, bring your employees here, and they pay for programs. So we're bringing money in, but we're bringing in students, who, as Art mentioned, is important, because of these non-traditional students are sitting down with their regular high school or elementary students at home, and they're seeing it. They're seeing that their parent is going on for education. They've seen them make that change, and having education as a value at the dinner table is priceless. It's not like you sit at the dinner table, oh, what'd you do, daddy, mommy, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, what did you learn in school, students? You know, what is it? What do you think about that? You know, oh, you're doing this project on ancient Greece. Well, which one do you think? The Athenians or the Spartans? Which one do you think are better? Having that conversation with your children at the table is important. And that's what those non-traditional students bring. They bring that back to home, so that next generation will value that education. So we're educating our reconnects. We're working with our adult students and our students. We have a tremendous open enrollment program where students walk out of high school, some with a college degree or at least very close. So we're dipping into those pools. Where are people, what are their needs? And we look at that, we examine that, and we try to recoup those students, potential students to our college.
Thank you. Same for you, Art. How do you address declining enrollment, and what adjustments do you think Mott needs to make?
Well, because we're 2.5 years into the pandemic at this point, and hopefully, seeing our way through it, we pivoted very quickly in order to take our classes from, a very high percentage being hands-on or in person to being either blended or being online. And through this, what we have found is that students like having the blended classes where there is some online and there are some that are in person. So I think continuing to look at the things that have worked when we were going through the worst of it and continuing to, again, meet students where they are, I think that will help us in order to help draw students. I think that dual enrollment is something that is helping. It was good, Jennifer, to hear you being dual enrolled at U of M and Mott, but there's a lot of high school students that when they graduate from high school, they're already well on their way, if not already have achieved an associate's degree. So we can see that the education is there. So that helps bring some kids to us, some students to us, and not kids, because we do have so many non-traditional students as well. Tuition costs, keeping costs at a degree that is affordable. And we know that Mott provides an excellent education, and heretofore we've been able to provide that in a very affordable manner. Continuing to do that, hopefully we'll be able to break through it. But part of it too is I would like to see our community get a little bit more involved in our community's college. For too long there had been an attitude that was similar to, well, you have to go to Mott, as if you didn't have any choices. I want to see that change to you get to go to Mott, because here you can get an affordable education. Here you can get a quality education. Here it can prepare you either for, like myself, a skilled trade or for transferring on. You have options that become available to you only because you got to go to Mott. And I think that parents in the community and our students helping to all hands on deck kind of thing. We all need to be prepared to say, this is what Mott offers. This is the reason that I went here, and this is the reason I think that you should be here. But I think that, those things we've taken steps towards getting through the pandemic and doing, and I'm hoping that as we completely get through it, those actions will come to fruition, and we'll see a reversal of the reduction in declining enrollment.
All right, thank you so much. We do have a few more questions to ask, but before we get to that, for those in attendance today at the forum, you'll notice that you have an index card in front of you. If you've not done so already, go ahead and fill out a question that you'd like to ask of the candidates, and we'll have a live question and answer session here momentarily. So go ahead and do that, and you can pass it down to the end of the row this way, I believe. Yeah.
All right, and just a couple more questions before we start. Those questions from the audience and the community. We want to ask, starting with Rebecca, what do you think is Mott's greatest strength and greatest weakness? And if elected, how would you address the weakness?
I think our greatest strength is the fact that we are so highly respected. We are an extremely highly respected school within the state and nationally, and so I think that draws. We have a very highly qualified faculty and staff. We have outstanding programs. We're very innovative as far as on the cusp of new technology and things like that. But I think probably one of our greatest weaknesses is that there's not a lot of people that know about us either. As much as we have a great reputation, it's almost like preaching to the choir. So we have to make sure that the community base knows how well-rounded this institution is and how highly respected this institution is, and what we can do in changing the trajectory of people's lives once they have attended here.
All right, we'll ask the same question now of Anne. What do you think Mott's greatest strength and greatest weakness are, and what would you do if elected to address the weakness?
Thank you. You should think I'd be used to this. As I said, Mott's middle name is adaptability, and I think that is our greatest strength. We faced the water crisis, we faced the pandemic, and came out the other side stronger and better. And I think that really comes down to faculty, staff, and also our president, Dr. Beverly Walker-Graffia. Again, I echo Becky's best-kept secret. She is a renowned and well-honored president on the national level. She has received several national awards for her work here and for her scholars, for her scholarly activity. So she is welcomed at mostly every conference we go to. And when we go to conferences on the net with our fellow community colleges, we do presentations. They go, Mott, do presentations. We want to hear from you. We just did one last week, and we had the room full that was standing room only, because they want to hear. It was our DEI presentation. They want to hear what we're doing. So we have smart people leading this thing. We have dedicated people. I mean, we talk about Mott Strong, but Mott Strong isn't here. We have people that have worked here 20, 30 years and have given their heart and soul, and I think that's our strength. They love Mott. They love the students. They want to be here. Now, with greatest weakness, I share. We're not recognized locally. We're just not known. We have of course, we're down the road. We have the big brothers of Michigan State and Michigan, and then the state schools in the east northwest of the state. But even the U of M Flint, people to go, and I share. We got to realize they should come here. It's cheaper. It's better, and a high level of quality education. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to parents. They go, I'm trying to get them to go to Mott. It's cheaper. And then I give them the quality. And then they go, oh, I didn't realize that. So we have to do a little better job of tooting our own horn. But our staff and our administration are too busy working hard for the students to do that. So I think it would be nice to get more detailed information out to the community, and maybe tours, and maybe have more informational meetings so people understand what we have here, because we have a jewel.
All right. And finally, Art, what do you think are Mott's greatest strength and greatest weakness? And if elected, how would you address the weakness?
Well, I have to agree with Becky and Ann in particular on our greatest strength. I mean, and it was 30 years ago when I first became a student here at Mott. And when we take a look at it, we're going into our 100th year as an institution. And so Mott is synonymous with leadership in Flint. And I think that, that has come because we have the kind of people that both Ann and Becky talked about. Our greatest weakness, I think I would agree, and I had mentioned it in a previous question, in that sometimes when you have something that is so good, it's easy to overlook. It's kind of easy to take for granted. I don't ever want to see the day where Mott is not responsive to the community's needs. I don't want to see the day that, we miss what Mott was, because we have Mott as it is right now. And what it is right now is, and I'll say this in memory of Lenore Crowdy, who was a longtime chair. She used to at every conference, she would announce, she's from Mott Community College, the best community college in the state, nation, world, and beyond. And I now hold a position that she at one time held on the national stage in the board of directors for the ACCT. And they know that at some point during whatever we're talking about, I will use that quote. And, some people were fortunate enough to have served with Lenore back when she was serving in the position that I now hold. And it brings them to chuckle, because I believe it. She believed it. We've worked hard to make it happen. The weakness that we have is that we don't express enough the pride for this institution, what it means on the national level, what it means on the state level, and that it is accessible, so readily accessible to people at the local level, is something that has to be changed. And again, as a board member, I am a cheerleader for Mott Community College, and all of us are. So it's important that we continue doing that kind of thing.
Okay, our next question, a simple one, but if elected, can you please summarize what your top priorities would be, Rebecca?
My top priorities would be obviously to continue the work that the board, because I will be new to the board if elected, that they have begun and have been establishing, but also student success, student accessibility are top priorities, and listening to the community and finding out what the community expects from the college, needs from the college, and being able to bring that back to the board and seeing how we can then fulfill those needs and expectations.
Same for you, Anne. If elected, what would your top priorities be?
The top priorities of the current board is diversity, equity, inclusion, and we want to continue that work. Continue it, and also make sure that we're keeping an eye on a strategic plan. Most people don't know what a strategic plan is. It's where we got community members, we got all different walks of life, people together and say, what do you think Mott needs? And we put it on paper. We have guidelines to say, we will meet this goal, we will meet that goal. And I think the next priority is making sure we're meeting all those goals, which, by the way, we are. But just to continue making sure that all of that groupthink, all of those parts that people brought to us and said, this is what we want for Mott, we want to meet those goals and make sure that we fulfill it's actually the tenet of our service is to make sure that the community's needs and wants are heard and met, and that's what I would continue to do.
Thank you, and for you, Art, as well. Can you encapsulate what your top priorities would be?
Well, like Ann, the continuation of DEI. I think that, as far as much progress as we've made, there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made. Keeping costs down, making sure that we have the affordability for our students and their families, I think is absolutely vital. And then, again, and I alluded to it in a couple different questions, that removal of hurdles or making something that seems, and I've been there. I've seen, what looked like a wall and had people that helped me get over that. And in retrospect, I realized that was a hurdle. It was something there that helped me build character, but with help, I was able to realize that was just a hurdle that needed to be overcome. And I want us to be able to continue to make sure that we have the programs, the programming, the funding, and funding is a top priority as well, because we rely on property taxes, tuition, and funding from our government, and it's very important that we're working on keeping our tuition down and doing everything that we can to elect people in Lansing and in Washington, D.C. who value and will have education as a priority. Because we can talk all we want to talk, but if there's no money behind it, then it's just hollow. So it's very important that funding continue to be a priority as well.
All right, now we're going to give each candidate the opportunity. You have 2 minutes to give a closing statement. This is your opportunity to leave those in attendance here today, those watching this forum online, and those who will eventually hear this on the radio with your parting thoughts.
I would just like to thank the moderators again for this, and also all the attendees for coming out and listening to us today. I also want to say that being on the board would just be a capstone to my professional career that actually started here. My professional career started on the foundation of Mott Community College, and I am so thankful for it. I believe in it. I believe that we have a huge, huge role that we play in our community, whether it's equitable, accessible education, whether a student wants to be in the skilled trades, whether a student wants to go on to a 4-year institution and get a bachelor's degree. We have that opportunity for them. We have the low cost, we have transition or transfer agreements to 4-year institutions. Those are the kinds of things that I believe that we need to spread the word about. And I thank you for the opportunity to do that, and I look forward to possibly serving on the board come November 8th.
Again, I thank you for being in person and those people on Zoom and are listening to this on the radio as well. Thanks to the moderators, doing a great job. I was joking earlier, they're usually in my living room because I watch them. So it was nice to see them in person. I've dedicated a lot of hours to Mott because I believe in it. I believe in education, all kinds of education. I've been out there, I've had to live my life. Hurdles, I love that analogy, hurdles versus walls. I was a single mom for a lot of years, and I see the struggles, I felt the struggles that people go through in their lives. And we want to help people through their struggles to be able to be thrivers, to go beyond where they know they can do, but they just need that little help. Mott is a helping hand in this community, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that. I'm proud of the work we've done. We've been very productive on the Board of Trustees and the Culinary Institute, making sure that became a reality, bringing Mott downtown where it can be accentuated and people eat our food. It was buried here on the campus, but now it's out there for everybody to see. So we're very proud of the work that we've done. I want to continue to work for you because I'm here for you. I want to listen to you and continue to listen to you. So I hope you re-elect me in next week. So thank you.
Your closing statement?
Thank you. I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to get done over the last 6 years. And again, in particular in the last couple years when Ann has been the chair and I've been the vice chair of the board. We have two people at the top who are actually, her career was in HR, as she indicated. My career was as a negotiator for the UAW. So I was used to sitting across the table from HR professionals, not next to. But Ann and I, though we come from different perspectives, we are able to talk about what's important for the students and what's important for the college. And because of our experiences, we may not always start with the same vision, but we come and we have a shared vision. And we've been able to lead the board in the direction that is supportive of our administration and the wonderful programs that we have here of our college. So I think that, and asking for a second term, I do rely on what we have done over the first term. I think that it's very important. These are volunteer positions, and not a lot of people realize that. But community college trustees are volunteers. We ask for this. We ask for the responsibility to help further the education of our community, the families and students, and it's something that I take very seriously. It's something that we take very seriously. I'd also just like to point out that Ann and I are running for 6-year terms. We are running together, and Rebecca is running for a partial term, for 2 terms. So those people who are here, who are watching, or who are listening, can vote for all 3 of us, and that does not take anything from any of us. Everyone, and I think that it was spoken at the beginning, had the opportunity to come here. And I ask those people to take into consideration when you're going into the voting booth to look for somebody to mark next to. We took the time to be here because it's very important. We take the time every month to be at our meetings because it's very important. We take the time to do the things that are necessary because it's very important. So my name is Art Reyes. I'm asking for the opportunity to be reelected on November 8th. Thank you.
All right, thank you, all 3 of you. Now that we've heard your closing statements, we're going to have one of the Mott students who is part of the planning committee for this forum come forward and give a closing statement.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Caroline Vance. I'm a freshman here at Mott, and I grew up and still live right here in the college cultural neighborhood. I have the pleasure of closing out the forum today. We simply want to take a moment to thank the candidates for coming out, sharing their thoughts, experiences, and vision for Mott Community College. In addition, we would like to thank Matt and Christine for moderating the forum today. We know you guys are incredibly busy, and your presence here today brings a significance to the event that meets the gravity of this election cycle. Thank you to everyone that attended in person and virtually. These conversations and forums are what make the United States and its democracy exceptional. Becoming informed on the topics of elections and the candidates are a critical part of making this work. And lastly, thank you to the students and staff that coordinated this event: Alicia Turner, Jennifer Conkright, Katie Keene, Jacoby Rice, Kelly Minto, Hunter Rosnowski, and Tyler Fan. With all that said, we'd like to pass out gifts to our candidates and moderators. Again, thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.